Welcome, this is Carrie Schell from On Point Quilter. I just purchased a Cricut Maker and I'm going to be sharing with you how I transferred my first design from Electric Quilt to Cricut Maker and how I went about cutting out my pieces. For my Techno-Quilters group, I created a new class in January on calendar quilts and ended up designing 12 different blocks, one for each month. And I thought it would be a fun project for myself to piece these blocks in 2020. So I started with this snowman block. You can see that it's a combination of piecing and applique. Let me just turn the Hide Show Quilt patch lines on so you can see the pieced component of it. When I pieced this, I decided that I wanted to cut out all of the applique elements using my new Cricut Maker. So I'm going to share with you how I'm going to get the designs from Electric Quilt to my Cricut Maker. So I'm going to start by going to the quilt work table and doing a new quilt horizontal, and I'm going to do a layout of 1 by 1. And the size is going to be the size of my block, which is 20 by 15. I'm going to go ahead and just delete the borders. And in the Design tab, under Block Tools Set Block, I will find my snowman block and set it in the quilt. And so this is going to allow me to go to Fabric Tools, select Randomize, and select Map to Colors. And then I'm just going to click on the block. Now I will select Print and Export, and I'm going to want to print this as a PDF. So let's select a PDF writer. Now there's a couple ways to do that on a PC. There's one on a Mac. So I'm just going to show you the Mac way because it also works on the PC. Under File, select Print Setup. Then select a PDF writer that's installed on your computer. Under Paper, set the size at PostScript Custom Page Size. If you do not have that option, select the largest paper size available to you. To change the paper size, select Properties and then select Advanced. And you can see here's an Edit Custom Size. Change the width and height so that they are 1 inch bigger than the actual size of the block. Select OK until you've accepted all of the print settings. Select the block followed by Print Block. Make sure that you have Showing Fabrics turned on. Then go to Options and make sure you've got both Print Block Outline and Print Patch Outline turned off. Then you can do a preview, and I will select Print. Then I'm going to save this to my EQ8 images, and I'm going to call this TKQ Calendar Snowman, and select Save. Then I'm going to switch over to Inkscape. Inkscape is an open source vector graphics editor similar to Adobe Illustrator or Corel Draw. I like the fact that it is freeware and it has versions for both PCs and Macs. Once Inkscape is open, select File, Open. Navigate to My EQ8 Images and locate the PDF TKQ Calendar Snowman and select Open. Under the PDF import settings, select OK. Now I want to delete everything that is not an applique because the only thing I want to cut on my Cricut is the applique shapes. Use the Select tool and select the drawing. If it is showing up as just one element, select Object, Ungroup. You may need to select Ungroup more than once, but you want to have dotted lines around each of the patches. Select each of the pieced patches and select Delete. I just use the Delete key on my keyboard. To double check if I've missed anything, I drag a box and I'm looking for any shapes that are not applique that have dotted lines around them. Select File, Save As. And I'm going to call this one TKQ Calendar Snowman, but notice that I'm saving it as the type Inkscape SVG, and select Save. The next step is to go to Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to select New Project and then select Upload. Then I will upload the image, and I'm going to browse and find the SVG file that was just created, and then select Open. Now, one of the things that I noticed is I appear to be missing one of the noses. However, I think that's just a little bit of a bug with Design Space, because when I actually went to use it, the nose appeared. So I'm just going to go ahead and select Save. And you can see here's my extra missing nose is right there. And so I'm going to select the TKQ Calendar Snowman and select Insert Image. And that's going to move it over to the canvas. And let me zoom out. Select Ungroup to separate all of the elements. Now, if there are any changes necessary, for example, if I decide that I don't want to cut the smile, I can just drag a box and select everything, and I can do a delete, or I could do a hide. Really doesn't matter. Then I can select Make It. Cricut will sort all of my patches by color, and so I can just now go through them by color and cut them out. Once you select the mat, you can see the general size that you're going to need for the bonded fabric, and then you can attach it to a mat. After attaching the fusible fabric to the mat, select Continue. It's going to connect to my machine, and it's going to ask me to set my material. From the drop down to browse all my materials, I will locate fusible fabric and select Done. Now here's where I really love it. It tells me exactly what blade to put in the rotary cutting blade, and then all I have to do is load the mat and press the load unload button. I was actually surprised it asked for the rotary cutter, because there is a bonded fabric tool, and I had it all ready to go, and then realized that was not the one that I needed. One additional discovery is you can adjust the placement to make best use of your fusible fabric. And so let me go down to number 4. Notice that I can click on a patch and I can rotate and move it. And then I can do Done. Here are all my cut pieces. I do want to note that I had absolutely zero problems in cutting out any of these fabrics. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial where I shared my first experience using Cricut Maker with fabric. I know that I am looking forward to my next project.